Once upon a time, there was a small boy named Charlie who lived in a cozy house at the edge of a big, peaceful forest. Charlie was like most boys his age, full of energy, curiosity, and a big imagination. But there was one thing that made Charlie different from the other children in his village. He absolutely did not want to sleep in his own bed. Every night, when the moon rose high and the stars twinkled above, his parents would tuck him in, say goodnight, and quietly close the door to his room. They'd leave thinking he'd drift off into peaceful sleep, but Charlie never did. Instead, he would tiptoe out of bed, make his way through the dark hallway, and knock on his parents' door. His eyes would be wide and worried as he whispered, "Can I sleep with you?" "Why, Charlie?" his mother would ask gently, kneeling down to his level. "You have your own comfy bed with your favorite blankets and your teddy bear, Mr. Whiskers." Charlie would shift from foot to foot, looking down at his toes. "I just don't like sleeping alone. It's too quiet, too lonely." His father would sigh but always smile kindly, leading Charlie back to his own room. "There's nothing to be afraid of, son. We're right down the hall. You'll be fine." But Charlie wasn't convinced. His bed felt too big, his room too empty, and the quiet was full of strange noises, like the wind rattling against the windows or the creaking of the floorboards. It wasn't just the dark, though, that made him nervous too. It was the way the shadows seemed to shift and move when the lights went out, how the stillness felt like it was hiding something. In his mind, his room turned into a different place at night, a place full of monsters and mysteries. One evening, after weeks of sneaking into his parents' room, his mother decided to try something new. "Charlie," she said softly as she tucked him into bed, "how about we make a little change in your room? I have an idea." Charlie looked at her curiously. What kind of change? His mother smiled, pulling something from behind her back. It was a string of small, twinkling lights. She carefully hung them around the top of his bed. "These are your very own stars," she said. "They'll stay with you all night, just like the stars outside, but closer, so you don't have to feel alone." Charlie's eyes widened as he stared at the soft, glowing lights. The room didn't seem so dark anymore. The corners that used to fill with shadows were now warm and bright, like a little piece of the night sky had come to live in his room. But Charlie was still hesitant. "What about the sounds?" he asked. "It's too quiet, and then I hear strange noises." His mother nodded thoughtfully. "Ah, I see." She walked over to his shelf and pulled out a small music box, one Charlie had almost forgotten about. She wound it up and placed it on his nightstand. Soft, gentle music began to play, filling the room with a sweet, calming melody. "Now you have music to keep you company too," she said. Charlie began to feel a little better, but there was still something bothering him. "What if the monsters come?" he whispered. His mother smiled again, reaching for his teddy bear. "Mr. Whiskers." "Well," she said, holding the bear up to the light, "Mr. Whiskers has been waiting for this moment. He's a brave bear, you see, and he's been secretly trained to keep all the monsters away. As long as you hold him close, no monster will dare come near your room." Charlie clutched Mr. Whiskers tightly, feeling a little braver already. That night, for the first time in what felt like forever, Charlie stayed in his own bed. The twinkling lights above him, the soft music playing beside him, and Mr. Whiskers in his arms made his room feel less like a scary, empty place and more like a magical, safe space just for him. When his parents peeked in later to check on him, they found Charlie sound asleep, his face peaceful, and his hand still holding Mr. Whiskers close. The twinkling lights cast a gentle glow across the room, and the music had faded into the quiet hum of the night. From then on, Charlie's room became his favorite